Thanks for joining me. Guys, my name is Daniel. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Koho. Effectively what Koho does is it is a banking product for millennials. So this does everything you would expect from a bank account. Bill pay, direct deposit, ATMs, etc., etc. That core bank functionality is all there. Okay? Our value propositions then to the consumer are threefold. One, we are a minimal fee product. So if you use this product right, you should never pay a bank fee again. Two, we design what I think is very elegant technology, had some really interesting, innovative features, and because we're a technology company, are quite innovative in terms of the mobile experience. Three is the fact that we're simply not a bank, and so a lot of millennials feel sort of a misalignment between the perception of the large banks, especially in Canada, which is where we're based out of, where there's 5 big banks who effectively control the market. And so that's sort of where we're playing in the market. We're a banking product for millennials. I want to take you through the experience right now. So how we sit in this ecosystem is we leverage what the Canadian banking system does very, very well, which is hold funds securely. Where they sort of fall short is in terms of the innovation and in terms of the customer experience. So we have a back-end bank partner who holds the funds for us, holds the assets for us, so that it's just as secure as it's always been. And we sit on top of that experience, delivering the technology and owning the customer, the brand, and the experience around that. One of the challenges that we get in this space is that the switching cost for consumers is very, very high. It's actually one of the biggest hurdles in terms of acquisition. And so by migrating what was core functionality on a debit card and putting it on a prepaid card, but branding it towards sort of a millennial technology early adopter market, we remove a ton of the friction. So this is the KYC process. It's used by 4 of the big 5 banks that is verified by Equifax. And so first name, last name, our SIN number is the Canadian equivalent. We're going to go through some T's and C's. User ID, password, etc. Address. Assuming we go through this process, it takes about 3 minutes when customers do it, and it's verified by Equifax in terms of the KYC. So we've now identified you as a customer. Your account is ready to be loaded and ready to be active. I'll take you guys through the experience. So right away, I think that hopefully you'll notice that it's a little more elegant than you would traditionally see from a financial institution. We use more visual components. We remind you when bills are upcoming. But one of the big things we do is we give you an available to spend balance. So what you see on the top left here is the amount of money in your account, which is your balance. Up here, we have your available to spend. So what we do as a company is we look at your pending transactions, recurring transactions, future transactions, and give you a sense of your actual cash position. Because if I'm sitting here and I have $900 in my account and $1,000 in rent is coming out tomorrow, I'm actually in a really poor financial position, and that's really easy math to do, and your bank should tell you that. And we want to keep people out of overdraft. And so that's why we've developed this available to spend, which is effectively a cash flow. So this is our goals feature. And the idea here is that when people automate savings, they are twice as likely to reach their savings goals. And so if I want to set up a goal, if I'm going to come back to bank innovation, assuming I'm invited back, 2016, I need $1,500. And I'm going to boost it with $200. So now you'll see our available to spend balance has changed. It's gone down 200, and this is my new goal. I'm 13% of the way there. Every day, $3.03 is going to come out of this process and be contributed to this goal. So as I mentioned, twice as likely to reach my savings goals when people use products like this. Interestingly, from a business case, what also happens here is the number one thing that people save up for is a down payment on a house. Number 2 is an auto. So we're sitting here as this company which owns the consumer and the consumer experience. We know how much money you're making, we know what bills you're paying, we know when you're paying them. We can very easily develop sort of a proxy credit score. And now for the first time ever, we'll know when you're actually ready to make that purchase and make that down payment. So we can continue to remove a lot of friction from what was challenging mortgage products, financial products, auto loan products. So moving money, this is sort of banking 101. There isn't a whole lot of room to innovate in this. This is very traditional. What we have added is Facebook transfer so that these people can transfer money via their Facebook friends. The other thing we've done is mailing a check. And so for a lot of millennials, the idea that they have to write information on a piece of paper, give that piece of paper to someone else, and have them take it to a bank is antiquated, it's frustrating. You usually only need 1 or 2 checks a year. It's sort of fringe cases. So we thought about how we can remove friction again from this process. And so if I want to write a check to Bank Innovation,
then you're definitely coming back.
yeah, exactly. We'll see how much the check is. I'd go through this process, I'd send the send date, how much money I'm sending, and any notes that are required to go along with it, and we send that check on the consumer's behalf. So again, we're never going to need a check again. We're going to let that consumer also know when that check is sent, when it's received, when it's cashed.
And the balance is shown.
So, limits. We have done a ton of primary research and talking to people. I think that if it's a car, if it's a phone, if it's clothes, there's very much generationally specific products, with the exception of banking, is what effectively we found. And so we talked to people about friction points, about frustration points in the banking system, and one of them is that when they lose their card, it's a stressful experience. You don't want fraudulent purchases on it. You end up sort of canceling your card and waiting a week to get a new one. And for a lot of these guys, they have one card. They have a savings card or whatever that happens to be. And so it's a very painful process. With this, you can simply suspend your card within the web or mobile app, and in that process, no more purchases can go through your card. Okay, so you can sort of have that exhale, go dig for your couch wherever you think it might be, and hopefully find it. If not, we'll rush deliver you a new one.
Through the transactions with sequence, the ID order.
So daily limits. Again, a lot of primary research. One of the things we found is that people wish that they didn't withdraw $180 on a Friday night at 2 a.m. from an ATM. And so what we allow people to do is set daily limits if that's what they want to do, but they can also set time-based limits so that they cannot use ATMs between 1 and 4 a.m., where they can add an extra point of friction in that process. Now, we are not live yet. We go live in August, but effectively what's happening here is whether or not they use that in that capacity, I think that the more important thing is that these guys feel like this product is designed for them. I don't think you would see this kind of language and this kind of functionality from sort of a traditional financial institution. And so that's again part of the story that we're telling here, is being generationally specific. Finally, we have reports. I'm sure a lot of us are familiar with PFM or personal financial management products like Mint. We find that in general, algorithms that try to do too much add more friction to the process than the value that they create. And so we take a very simple approach to this. We let you know how much, we only have 8 categories. We let you know where your income's coming from, and we develop spending trends and balance trends for you as well. So the idea, again, being here that we can financially educate people and hopefully empower them to better understand their finances and do more with their money. That's the extent of the demo, guys. I'd love to hear any questions.
So for the bill payment feature, you rely on a good funds model always. There's no floating the payments as they go through.
Exactly, yeah. So that's exactly it. We have our processor who, again, because we can't manage the movement of funds, we don't want that regulatory burden or that access. But yes, we do. Our processor does that. Yeah, so we've migrated core bank functionality onto a prepaid card. And the advantages of that, one, you saw the KYC process is much lighter, but from a back-end cost structure, fundamentally different in terms of the cost to activate an account and the fixed monthly cost to maintain an account as well. What happens with a prepaid card is that whereas before you have a 1-to-1 ratio between accounts and cards, when you have a traditional sort of savings account, with prepaid you have one account, 1,000, 10,000 million cards. It's one account on the back end, so your activation costs become much more advantageous. You get customers profitable.
Okay, 1 minute warning. 1 minute warning.
Daniel, where do you expect to monetize this?
Yeah, so when you replace core bank functionality, when you get direct deposit on these cards, which we have, your gross volume of transaction goes up 25, 30x on a prepaid product. And so what we've done is we said, let's remove the fees. Let's remove the fees, and in that sense, boost the volume transactions to make our money off interchange.